We are on the air.
I apologize. I'm going to.
Good evening, Rolling Meadows. This is the June 26, 2018 meeting called to order at 7:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Cannon.
Here.
Budmatz.
Present.
Majikis. Here. Gallo.
Here.
Banger.
Here.
Diestis is not here.
So 5 present and 1 absent. We do have a quorum. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the June 12th, 2018 council meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Mr. Budmatz has made that, and there's a second. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions? Seeing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The minutes do pass. All right, are approved. Under the mayor's report, we had a very busy couple of weeks here. For those of you that are not aware of, we do have a new restaurant in town called Reps, and it's really something that the citizens of Rolling Meadows have been waiting for a long time. We attended the grand opening, and I can tell you we've been there. I just haven't made it to the 4-pound burger 15-minute challenge yet. So I'll leave that to maybe the chief or one of his guys to do. So we started off I had the opportunity to be there for the first Friday's Rock concert. Had to leave a little early because my daughter was getting married, so I just showed up for the first 10 minutes, but it was a good time. We also had the first city market. Happened for the season, so we're off and running, and that was a good event. I had a grand opening ribbon cutting this weekend, which was really kind of unique. The Chamber of Commerce brought out their big scissors, and we were at Deep Woods Lane and Meacham. It was for a little free library. And Mr. Banger, you would be very happy with this because the garden club showed up.
Oh, excellent.
So they were out there. The only thing they haven't figured out is how to put a beehive next to the little. But I've been to a couple of these before, and what was really unique is that the owners basically took a lot of the materials that they had and recycled. So this library has shake roof. It has teak floors, and he took all the pavers that were there. So there was a nice turnout from the neighborhood, and of course I said I would come back when they do their smoke off for their ribs and everything else. Last night, St. Colette's had a wonderful concert at St. Colette's Church, and the Northwest Community Band was playing, and Wayne and Kathy Messner were there to lead the singing, and I talked with Wayne. He looks forward to coming back to National Night Out to be with us again. So they had a great turnout. I like to mention all these events because I just like to let the community know what's going on, but also that they're businesses that we do have a very strong, committed group of residents that just want to move forward and help the city. Finally, I need to give an update. At the last meeting I was at, I put the call out for applications for the 7th Ward alderperson position, and we received 5 applications that weekend for a total of 6. I'm almost done with the interview process, and I hope in the next week to come forward and present it to the council. So that's an update of my last 10 days. Are there any ward reports?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Budmatz. Please forgive me.
No problem.
You just sort of blend into the wall over there.
I know. I'm small. So I did hear from a couple of residents in the last few days. One was complaining about parking on 2 sides of the street where it's only one side only allowed. So just a reminder that it is a nuisance on narrow streets. So if we can avoid that. And then I did receive another call from a resident complaining about noise from a neighboring business in Palatine. And so just figured I'd let you know about those two reports.
Thank you, Mr. Budmats. Are there any other ward reports? This brings us to the part of the meeting that the council is now open to members of the audience for 20 minutes to address the city council on matters that are not on the agenda or regarding other issues. We ask that persons wishing to address the city council keep their comments to 5 minutes in length. Comments must be addressed to the council as a whole through the mayor, and profanity may not be used in any form. Well, the first signatory is Steve Hollish. Thank you, sir.
Hi there. Good evening.
Good evening.
I have two items. They're on the agenda. One is the McDonald's the adding to the McDonald's. I sat through the Planning Commission and understand what McDonald's originally wanted for their striping, and they said they're willing to negotiate with the city, and the city staff came back and said they would like to see a curb put in with a raised thing to keep the lanes sort of separate from the drive-through traffic. McDonald's wasn't it. They said they'd agree to that, even though they did mention that it really doesn't protect the cars in any way, and also it adds to a maintenance issue going forward. I mean, I've gone through a lot of McDonald's around here, and I've seen only one that's had this particular curbing. All the rest have just striping. And as the resolution sits tonight, or the ordinance sits tonight, it says that you have to put this raised curb in. So hopefully all you can come back and say, maybe they don't need the raised curb. It is a small lot, and space is going to be limited, so maintenance issues will be a problem. And I think if you just leave it for striping, it'll be adequate in itself. And then the other issue that I want to hear about is later on, you're all going to be entertaining the resolutions for the transfer station, recycling, and I hope to hear a lot of comments from the council regarding the particular issues, primarily the transfer station, why we're doing that. And, you know, I know it's an advantage, but I want to hear feedback from you all on why we have to do that. And then why you depend upon going with this new recycling outfit. It is cheaper, but yet how did 1 out of 6 become the only one that's cheap? I don't understand. We've had a long, ongoing relationship with the present recycling outfit, and they wouldn't come back with any good price. So there's something wrong there. Again, this particular contractor still wants to come back and ask for help in the transfer station. So I just look forward to seeing a lot of discussion from you on the transfer station and the recycling. Thank you.
And thank you for coming forward this evening. This brings us to the consent ordinances for first reading. The next consists of 2 items, A and B. Does anyone wish to pull one of these? Seeing none, the chair declares it in order for one motion to consider both ordinances without debate. Is there such a motion? Mr. Banger has made it and has been seconded. The question is, shall both ordinances be moved forward for a second reading? Ordinance A, grant approval of amendment to the Rolling Meadows Shopping Center plan development and McDonald's special use permit for second drive-through lane and additional exterior site improvements. This ordinance, if adopted, would allow an amendment to the existing Rolling Meadows Shopping Center plan development and McDonald's special use permit to allow a second drive-through lane and some additional exterior site work. At its meeting held on Tuesday, June 5th, 2018, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 7-0 with 2 absent to recommend approval for the second drive-through lane and other site improvements. Ordinance B. This ordinance, if adopted, would change the parking restrictions. This is amendment section number 106-24 of the city for no parking on Keith Court. This ordinance, if adopted, this would change the parking restrictions on Keith Court. This street already has no parking signage posted. The current parking prohibition is on the west side of Keith Court. Residents there have requested that this be changed to prohibit parking on the east side. Again, the question is, shall both ordinances be moved forward for a second reading? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bud Matts?
Yes.
Majikis? Yes. Gallo?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
6 in favor, none opposed. That ordinance moves back for a second reading. This brings us to new business. This motion to approve the payment of warrants on the June 26, 2018 warrant. Excuse me. As presented by the Finance Department, is there a motion to approve the warrant? Mr. Baner has made that and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Majikis? Yes. Gallo?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bud Matts?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, the warrant is approved. This brings us to the consent resolutions. The next item on the agenda, it consists of 8 items, items D through K. Does any alderman wish to have any of these pulled? Mr. Gallo.
E,
I'm sorry.
the recycling extension.
E? Okay, thank you. The chair is pulling G, which is Resolution G. Any other resolutions? Mr. Bud Matts.
K.
I'm sorry?
K.
Okay. Mr. Diastis.
D.
D?
D. David.
Thank you. Someone blame us. Sorry, we're hearing some sound effects up here, so we're trying to keep a straight face. The chair then declares that leaves us with 4 items for the consent resolution. The chair declares in order for one motion for all 4 resolutions to move forward without debate. Is there such a motion? Mr. Majikis has made that and has been seconded. The question is, shall all 4 resolutions be adopted? Resolution F, number 18-R61, approve refuge waste swap agreement. This resolution, if adopted, would authorize an agreement to be executed between the City of Rolling Meadows and Advanced Disposal Services Solid Waste Midwest, LLC, that will allow the continuation of the existing operation that allows the city's Public Works Department to dispose of refuge at Burtnick Street Transfer Station operated by Advanced Disposal, instead of the Swank Waste Transfer Station in Glenview displays as contractually obligated. H, resolution number 18-R-63, approve the plat of dedication for a portion of Meadowbrook Drive. This resolution, if adopted, would approve and accept a proposed plat of dedication for right-of-way purposes, Meadowbrook Drive, a plat of vacation for abandoned utilities, and a plat of easement for relocated and new utilities. The plat was prepared per the conditions of the approval of Fuller's Car Wash at 2765 Algonquin Road. Resolution I, number 18-R-64, award a contract for the pavement rejuvenator PRA. This resolution, if adopted, would award a contract for the application of asphalt pavement rejuvenator product on 10 city streets in 2018. J, resolution number 18-R-65, approve the purchase of a 317 dump truck body replacement. This resolution, if adopted, would authorize the replacement of the dump truck body for the Public Works Department RM251-T317 dump truck, 2008 model year. Again, the question with the 4 resolutions, shall they be adopted? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Gallo?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
No.
Cannon?
No.
Bud Matts?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
With 4 in favor and 2 opposed, those resolutions do come forward. This brings us to Resolution D, number 18-R-59. It will approve the Burdick Transfer Station lease extension. This resolution, if adopted, would extend the existing lease terms and conditions for the operation of the Thomas Waldron Waste Transfer Station located at 3851 Burdick Street for an optional additional 5 years. Do I have a motion to move this resolution forward? Ms. Mujikis, and it has been seconded. Mr. Diastis.
I'd just like to have staff give me more information about this at this point in time, and particularly what does subject to 3 to 5 CPI adjustments mean?
Mr. Vogt, sir.
The CPI adjustments are provided and proposed by Advanced in regards to their cost of operation. This is typical in terms of how we establish the annual lease. This is typical of how we have done the recycling contracts in the past with regards to indicators. Sometimes they vary. They may be 0 to 3%. They may be 2% to 4%. In this case, Advanced is proposing a 3 to 5% minimum, maximum based on what the consumer price index is each year.
So, to that point, they use the consumer price index as a gauge to increase. And what if the consumer price index is less than 3%? They still raise it 3%?
That is what is proposed, and that is for the waste that is transferred there. It's not for the operation of the transfer station. It's because the request for a 5-year extension is tied to the different options that they are providing us in terms of that waste swap agreement that was just approved.
I don't think I'm comfortable with that, so I will be voting against that.
Thank you. Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I first read this, I was a little bit confused. I don't really understand why this company is coming to us 2 years before their contract's even over. It seems to be that there's another end game that we're not aware of. What that is, I have no idea. I'm not even speculating on it. But I don't understand why we need to do this today. Where I'm a little bit confused from our standpoint, from the city standpoint, is we've owned this property for a number of years. If anybody in this room, in staff or administration, knows what the value of that building is, I guess I'd like to know. I don't know if this is a good deal or bad deal. We just keep on approving it. But we've never really gone out to bid to find out if other people might be interested in operating this. I guess the other thing I would throw out there, we've been looking for property to expand Public Works. Maybe we should get out of the garbage business and build a building there for Public Works. But I think there's a lot of questions that need to be asked to be pushing this through so quick, especially in light of the fact that it's 2 years away. And again, the biggest reason I'm not going to support this is, I guess I'd like a complete explanation either from Advanced or from our staff as to why there's such an urgency in this, and yet we're late with the recycling bid thing. It just seems like we got two things going on. We are late getting the recycling thing up in front of us, so we're basically a month behind there, and now we're 2 years ahead on this. So if someone wants to answer those questions, I'm fine with it. Right now, I'm leaning towards no on this.
Okay. Mr. Vogt. Sir.
If I may, Mayor, thank you. The urgency is not there to consider extension to the lease other than the lease extension request is tied into what we are being asked to pay for the tonnage tipping of our waste at that facility on Burdick Street versus going to Glenview, number one. And number two, the proposal for the 1 month extension on the curbside recycling collection. It's as simple as that. If council is not comfortable with acting on an extension as Advanced has requested at this time, just recognize that those costs for our tipping at Birdnick Street facility and the 1 month extension will cost us more. That's as simple as that. And as far as the need for an additional month, the recommended provider for the 3-year contract for Flood Brothers is the only vendor that indicated to staff that they were not ready to mobilize for July 1st. All the other proposals came in saying that they could start service on July 1st. So hopefully that clarifies things.
Thank you, Mr. Vogt. Mr. Cannon.
So this is my second bite of the apple, I guess.
Yes.
So I guess the question I would ask you then, Fred, is when we first negotiated this deal with Advanced, I guess was what, a year and a half ago?
What deal is that you're referring to?
They would start accepting our garbage and switch it.
2 years ago, the waste swap, 2 years ago.
So was that a written contract?
No.
So it was a verbal?
Yes.
So a handshake, basically?
Yes. And there was no discussion of costs at that point. The intent of an understanding of city staff and of the vendor and of the solid waste agency was that that would be determined over the course of the next year or two as to whether there were any costs. So it didn't surprise staff that and Advanced had been up front with us for several months now and indicating that they were experiencing some costs for providing this service, and we in turn asked them to tell us what those costs were. That's why council is being presented that at this time.
Okay. Well, I will be voting against it because I think we really should be prudent as a city and really analyze this before we just get one offer and accept it because we have to. I don't think we have to approve this right now. I'm not against Advanced. I have nothing against them at all as a company. The people that have presented from that company have been wonderful. I just think that we're just rushing this way too fast. I would like a second look at this later on down the line and get more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Baner.
Yes.
Diestis.
No.
Cannon.
No.
Budmats.
No.
Majikis. Yes. Gallo.
No.
For lack of a quorum, this resolution does fail. This brings us to resolution number 18-R-60. It will approve curbside recycling extension with Advanced. This resolution, if adopted, would award a 1-month extension, July 2nd, 2018 to July 31st, 2018, to the existing residential curbside recycling contract with Advanced Disposable Services Solid Waste Midwest, LLC. Do I have a motion to move this resolution forward? Ms. Majikis has made that. It has seconded. Mr. Gallo, you requested first opportunity here.
I did. I felt like this is, from my understanding, a short-term extension at this point with Advanced. And I was hoping that maybe we could, instead of hastily just moving on from a month-to-month basis or a 6-month duration, but if we can kind of work out a more long-term extension for a contract with a vendor and have it out for a competitive bid like we have been doing, but find more aggressive rates for that. So I guess the question is, are we able to look for a more long-term extension than just a month-to-month extension at this point?
Alderman.
Hold on. Which one? Mr. Crumstock?
Alderman Gallo, this is a 1-month extension because Flood Brothers, who is actually in the audience, they're going to be, right after that month, they will be taking over the recycling. So it's literally, we just need this extension to get to that new contract.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Vogt?
If I may.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
If I can alert council to the fact that the proposed resolution that we're looking at for the extension, given the action to not approve the lease extension, would need to be amended from the $391 per month that's in the resolution to the proposal in the Advanced letter, which is
$6, I think, for that.
oh, I'm sorry, I had it here. It would be $5.35 per home per month for the month of July, given that the previous resolution for the lease extension was
So is that just for 1 month?
for 1 month, for the month of July.
So the cost will go up. So,
And, well, I'll
sorry.
deal with that.
No, we had the opportunity to speak earlier. Okay. Does that, so that, okay, any
Well,
further? Go
good
ahead.
point. I mean, given that item F was approved with the lower amount in it, that would
Right.
need to be amended and re-voted on. I believe, I don't want to speak for the city attorney, but
Do we have?
that action was already taken earlier to approve it at the lower amount.
After talking to our parliamentarians, so we would have to amend Resolution F, and there would be an increased cost to the residents for the month.
Correct.
Okay. And what would the amendment, the cost would go up to
$6 per ton
from?
from $4.50 that was approved.
Any other discussion? So we need, well, I'm asking for some clarification. Do we need to go back to the,
Well, first you have to finish up E.
we have to finish up E, correct? But we,
Well, okay, so we'll finish up E, and then we have to go back to what?
F.
Correct. We have to go back to F and amend F to reflect the price difference.
All right, all right.
so any further discussion on E? Will the clerk, yes, Mr. Diastis?
So E is just a 1 month extension.
Correct.
Correct.
And again, explain to me the purpose of the 1 month extension.
Mr. Vogt?
The proposals that were received May 23rd asked for an indication of when service could start, with a desired start date of July 2nd. All of the 4 proposals of the 5 received indicated an ability to start July 2nd. The one proposal that chose to not start until August 1st is the vendor that is being recommended tonight for the 3-year contract, Flood Brothers. That is why we need a 1 month extension.
Okay.
So we need a motion to amend this resolution to change $3.91 to $6
No,
per
to
month.
$5.35.
So we need a motion to do that.
Do I have?
So moved.
So do I have a second? Mr. Banger has made that. Is there any discussion on that amended? No? Ready, Jenny? Clerk.
You are.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Diastis,
No.
Cannon,
Yes.
Budmats,
Yes.
Majikis,
Yes, and I'm sorry to the residents.
Gallo,
Yes.
Baner.
Yes.
5 approved, 5 for, and 1 against. That resolution is amended. So now we go back to resolution number 18-R60 to approve the curbside recycling extension with Advanced as amended. Do I have a motion for that? Mr. Banger has made it. Do we have it seconded? Do we have any discussion on the amended resolution? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Cannon,
Yes.
Budmats.
Yes.
Majikis.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
Baner.
Yes.
Diastis.
No.
5 in favor and 1 opposed. That resolution does pass. That brings us to Resolution G. We will come back to Resolution F. Resolution G, number 18-R-62, to approve a contract for residential curbside recycling. This resolution, if adopted, would award a new 3-year contract for single-family residential curbside recycling collection in the city of Rolling Meadows. Do I have a motion for Resolution G? Mr. Banger has made that, and it has been seconded. Mr. Vogt, I pulled that because you came forward and said the G needs to be amended.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. There was a typo provided in the resolution about 2/3 of the way down regarding the 3rd year of the proposed contract. In the resolution that you have, it says $4.80. It should read $4.00. There was also a typo in the cover memo referred to $4.10, which is, again, $4 even. Thank you.
Do we have a motion to amend Resolution G as stated?
So moved, sir.
Mr. Diastis made that. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Budmats,
Just on the
amendment.
amendment, yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Gallo?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
6 in favor, none opposed. That amendment does pass. That brings us back to Resolution G, number 18-R-62, to approve the contract for residential curbside recycling as amended. Do I have a motion to move that forward? Mr. Baner has made that. Mr. Cannon has seconded. Is there further discussion on G? Mr. Budmats.
Was there ever discussion of a performance bond with this contract?
Mr. Vogt?
That is a requirement.
Okay. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Majikis?
Yes.
Gallo?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Diastis?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Budmats?
Yes.
6 in favor and none opposed. That resolution does pass as amended. This brings us to Resolution K. Number 18-R-66 is to award a contract for vehicle life replacement. This resolution, if adopted, would authorize the purchase and installation of a one rotary lift model 10210DS, 54,000-pound capacity, which will replace the existing 21-year-old large vehicle lift. Do I have a motion to move this resolution forward? Mr. Baner has made that, and it has been seconded. Mr. Budmats, you have pulled it, so you have first opportunity.
When the Vehicle Replacement Committee met and talked about this item, we suggested getting a price for the replacement of the oil lines going to the cylinder from the pumping unit. The price came back at approximately $19,000, which is excessive. Based upon that, I suggest that we look for alternative bids for this whole contract rather than approve this bid with or without the oil lines at this time.
So you're making a motion to amend?
I will be voting against this, even though the committee that I'm part of voted yes for this and asked for the additional information be quoted. And so based upon the additional information quoted and how it was presented by the bidder, I would suggest that we do not move forward with this item, and I will be voting no.
Thank you, Mr. Budmats. Mr. Cannon.
As Mr. Budmats said, we talked about this extensively at the meeting. Mr. Budmats has a lot of knowledge about this subject. I do not, so I respect his judgment a lot. I know with the discussion we had at the meeting, no one had guessed this was going to be anywhere near $19,000. So I will not be supporting this, even though I voted to bring it forward.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Mr. Vogt, do you wish to add?
If I could, thank you, Mayor, just to point out to the council that there is a joint purchasing consortium that we obtained the base price for the lift. So that has been bid. I don't see anything to gain short term unless this whole project was deferred for the rest of the year and then get a new pricing later. It is based on bids that were received from a joint purchasing consortium. The discussion and concerns regarding the wiring is felt from staff that we need to use that vendor as they're providing, installing the lift. Certainly, as the Vehicle Replacement Committee was asked to get this information, staff was originally going to proceed without replacing the wiring. That still would be an option, or perhaps would be an option to replace it at a later date, at a later time, if the council is uncomfortable with the pricing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cannon.
Could we make an amendment then and drop off the wiring for right now and just approve the lift? Can we do that, or is it not going to work? I don't know enough knowledge of it.
Well, first off, Mr. Budmetz has amendment out there, so you have
I'm sorry.
I have an amendment out there.
He's just voting no.
You're voting, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to put it in the form of amendment. Thank you.
So I guess I would ask Mr. Budmetz, since he's the only one at the table that I know of that has knowledge of this
Okay.
this product, if he could.
$38,000 that was quoted for the price of the lift is a fair price. The price for $69,000 to install it is not a fair price. I believe that the consortium negotiates a great deal on the price on the lift, and then we do not get the greatest price, and that is not negotiated to the same level on the installation costs. So I will not be supporting this as it's presently written. There are 3 vendors in the Chicago metropolitan area who are rotary distributors, who are authorized to install this product. To the best of my knowledge, we've only received a price from one.
Thank you, Mr. Budmetz. So, Mr. Cannon, then?
I don't want to make any motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Banger.
Thank you. I've been a big fan of these joint purchasing ventures just because they're doing our work and we can sign on to them. If Mr. Budmetz is correct, though, and we can go out to all 3 vendors, I guess I'd be surprised if we saw any difference in pricing than the one that was trying to get the most business. But if staff wants to undertake that, I guess it would be, from my viewpoint, a big experiment. Would we actually get a better price? Because if we did, that joint purchasing program would be somewhat suspect. I guess I'm willing to look at that as an experiment if you are.
So, Mr. Vogt?
If the council would want to have staff do that, we can certainly ask that this item be deferred and allow us to investigate that information and come back to council at a later date. Hopefully as soon as the next meeting or as soon as we can obtain pricing.
Need a motion to table it until the July 10th meeting. So, Mr. Banger's made it. Well, I'm sorry, motion to postpone. Thank you. And Mr. Gallo has seconded. Any further discussion on that? Will the clerk?
Yes, I do. I have a question on that. So you want to postpone it for a month?
Yes.
Or postpone it to the next meeting, July 10th?
Yes.
And what is the ultimate goal at that point in time? Will this come back to us again, or will there be some new information be provided? Will this be pulled? To postpone this and come back in the same form on July 10th serves us no purpose. So I want to know what will come back to us on July 10th.
All right. Mr. Vogt, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. At minimum, Alderman Diastis, we would have additional information to answer the questions as to if there are additional dealers out there that would provide us pricing. We can obtain pricing or find out that they won't price it or be more advantageous than what is in the joint purchasing. We can also, in the next 2 weeks, look for more information with regard to the wiring, see if there are alternatives to that from a different vendor. I'm a little concerned about possibly going that route and using 2 different vendors, but we can certainly put together more information, pros and cons regarding that, or we may come back and recommend to just defer the wiring as was originally the intent.
So, Mr. Budmetz, if I may, you said the purchase price is a fair price, and the purchase price is $88,000? Is that what I'm reading here? The
purchase and installation.
The purchase and installation.
$38,000 for the material.
So $38,000 for the purchase. $38,000 for the purchase. So that's on public. That's public record that's what the new cost is going to be. And you said it was $69,000 for installation, which is an unfair cost.
Correct.
So there's 3 authorized dealers who do this work. We got a bid from one, and now the other 2 know what the bids were. So when we talk to them, they could come back with the same price, a lower price, or a higher price. And then staff will come back to council on July 10 and say, they have done X, Y, or Z.
That would be my expectation, Alderman Dastis.
Okay. I'm
that's-
understanding of it now.
Okay. Any further questions on the amendment?
Motion to postpone.
The motion to postpone, sorry, motion to postpone. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. I've missed Nick once and you once tonight, so I got to make sure that I don't. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll then?
Gallo,
Yes.
Manager.
Yes.
Diastis,
Yes on the motion to postpone.
Cannon.
Yes.
Bud Matts.
Yes.
Majikis.
Yes.
6 in favor, none opposed. It is postponed to the July 10th meeting. Now we come back to F. Now I'm told we're coming back to Resolution F. So, Mr. Vogt, you said that since we have changed the other parts of it, what is Public Works saying that we need to do since the contract has obviously been altered?
The action that was taken earlier in this meeting to approve the waste swap agreement with Advanced, in the resolution that was approved, indicates that that cost is $4.50 per ton based on the transfer station lease extension being approved, which was not. So this resolution needs to reflect that action, that the transfer station lease has not been extended. The proposal from Advanced Disposal provides us a cost of $6 even per ton should the lease extension not be approved at this time. Certainly, if there's further consideration for lease extension later, we can certainly and would expect to discuss with Advanced what those costs would be in the future. But at this time, without a lease extension, they are proposing a $6 per ton tipping fee for our waste to go to their station on Birding Street.
And that's for 1 month?
It's indefinite.
Indefinite now. The price will go up. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to have the representative from Advanced or Flood
Advance.
come to the microphone and explain it.
1 moment.
You're going to open the floor to the public?
Open the floor.
Do you need a motion to open the floor? Get a second.
Need a motion to open the floor.
Here's a second.
Andrew seconded.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank
You're on the
you.
floor.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Tish Powell. I am the Municipal Marketing Manager with Advanced Disposal. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Just to clarify what you have before you, since the transfer station extension was not approved, what we have proposed to staff for the city's consideration is well, let me back up a little bit. We were giving you, the reason why we asked for the extension on the transfer station was to give you a lower price on the 1 month extension for the curbside recycling contract so that you can take advantage of the lower price that was given to you by Flood Brothers, which you did approve today, since they were not ready to start on July 1st. And the second part of that was a lower price on the waste swap at $4.50 a ton. Since that transfer station extension was not approved, that per ton rate for the waste swap changes to from $4.50 to $6 a ton, and that's a 5-year agreement. That's not indefinite.
Do we have any, since it's open to the public, any, Mr. Vogt, any other questions, any other comments?
No, if that's what Advanced is proposing, that that's secured for 5 years, then that's what we will have to be taking action on.
So Resolution F would be amended to show the increased price for the next 5 years, since we did not do the resolution, past Resolution D.
Based on their proposal, correct.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Cannon.
Mr. Mayor, if they only have a lease for 2 years, how can it be a 5-year contract?
Mr. Vogt, sir.
We are currently working in the first of 2 5-year optional leases with Advanced. The original lease that started about 1996 with what was then Browning Ferris expired in early 2016, I believe it was. We started the first 5-year lease extension. Advanced has or their successors, should there be somebody else in 5 years to operate that transfer station, or 3 years from now, can on their own inform the city that they wish to provide for that second lease extension. So what Advanced was asking for was an extension of 5 more years after 2023.
But as you point out, Alderman Cannon, yes, it's contingent on us operating the waste transfer station. So yes, we are in the first we are currently exercising the first of our 2 5-year extension options. I mean, obviously, we're hoping that we are able to exercise the second option when the time comes. So this swap arrangement is contingent on us operating the transfer station. Obviously, if we're not there, we would not be doing any waste swap with the city. But we would love to continue to be there to work with you.
So what you're saying is, so if you guys decide to sell to someone else, they have to honor it for the 5 years if we agree to it tonight.
I can't commit to that. I know that because this is separate. This is a separate agreement from the transfer station. The swap is something separate. But I don't think we have any plans to sell or to not operate that at this point.
I'm not insinuating you are. Just I know from a business standpoint, I know there's a lot of things going on in the marketplace right now. I know you lost a big contract that you had for 13 years just this week. So I'm not really sure what Advance is doing as a corporation. It's none of my business, but I mean, a lot of the outward signals is that maybe you might sell to someone. So all I'm concerned is we get locked into something and you're not the operator. And then maybe we could, I guess, the way I started this whole conversation is I would like us as a city, because it's our asset, to go out and see what the marketplace is going to tell us. I have no idea. You guys might have the best deal for us by far. I have nothing against Advance. All I'm saying as a city, I don't know if anybody up here or anybody out there has more knowledge of if another operator would come in and pay us more money, or if someone come in and pay us a couple $1 million for the facility. I have no idea what the answer is. I think as a city, we owe our taxpayers an obligation to go out and just investigate. Again, I have nothing against you guys, nothing. I just think that in our best interest, it's prudent for us to make sure we're getting the best deal we can for the city.
And I completely respect that and understand that is why you voted against the transfer station extension option.
At the moment.
So the swap is really to help your public works, your operation. Your public works staff currently collects, you currently do this in-house. And without this swap, as Public Works Director Voigt said, this helps you be a lot more efficient by dropping the waste right at your public works facility across the street at the transfer station versus having to take it all the way to Swank. I think there are some figures in the memo that indicate what that savings looks like for you operationally in terms of time and in terms of money. If the swap went away, your staff would have to take that waste directly to the swap, the Swank transfer station, and there's a cost related to that.
There's no question, but I'm the one who fought for it, so I understand all the benefits of it. The only point I made at the beginning was, why are we signing a 5-year lease when you guys only have a 2-year lease to go on it right now, at the moment? So I would just suggest we approve a 2-year and then give a 3-year extension.
Hold on. Mr. Vogt.
Thank you, Mayor. If I could clarify, hopefully to help the council, my memory, I believe, is pretty good on this, that when Browning Ferris Industries negotiated the original lease with the city in the late 90s, it was for a 20-year term with 2 5-year optional extensions at the option of the company, the operator of the transfer station. When Browning Ferris divested that and sold it to one of the predecessor companies that's now Advanced Disposal, the city council did have to vote to approve that transfer to Advanced successor company. But once that was done, as long as Advanced or their company or some company facility associated with them operates the transfer station, it's their choice whether they renew the option. They just need to notify us of their desire to do so. That was what was done in 2016, and that's what I would expect, all things staying the same, that they would do for 2021. That would allow them to keep operating until 2026, at which time many different things could happen in terms of putting it out on the market, negotiating a lease extension, or taking it ourselves, all sorts of things that are 8 years away at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Diastis.
Thank you. So, a couple of things. I would agree with Mr. Cannon. This does not make sense to me that we sign a 5-year, that we approve the 5-year if this company, Advanced, only has a lease for 3 years.
The existing operation has 3 years left.
Okay.
After that 3 years, they have another opportunity to extend the lease for 5 more years.
And does the city at that point have an opportunity to say no or to raise prices to them to lease the facility?
We do not have the opportunity to say no based on the way the lease is worded, other than if the city attorney were to be asked if there's a way to negotiate out of that.
And does the city have an opportunity to raise the price of the lease?
Not that I would think during the term of the lease. I don't recall ever reading in the document that there's that opportunity.
Then I would ask our city attorney if he could investigate that and let us know, because this doesn't make sense. I would say if you want to do it for 3 years, that's fine. But I feel like there's a gun to my head right now, and I don't like that feeling. So I would vote no against this, regardless, unless it turned into a 3-year deal and Advance wanted to change it from a 5-year to a 3-year, in which case it's in sync with the option. And then at that option point, I'd like to find out from the attorney whether the city has an opportunity to either opt out of this, or if we don't, do we have an opportunity to raise the price? Because gun to my head, I'd like to put the gun back to somebody else's head. I don't like this feeling. So I guess we can either postpone this one for a week and see if Ms. Trish can get back to us and want to change this to a 3-year so it's in sync with the option, or if you want to keep it the same, in which case I'll be voting no against it when it comes back to us. But right now, I think our city attorney has some investigating to do, and Ms. Powell we probably need to go back to her company and say, okay, they're not too happy with the increase from what it was to $6, and can we go with a 3-year to make it in sync? So,
okay, yes.
If I may clarify, and I have a copy of the contract here, if the city attorney does not have a copy of it. As your Public Works Director has indicated, when we took the contract over from BFI, it was a 20-year agreement. We assumed that, and it had 2 5-year options, and those options are at our discretion to exercise. So we are in the first, we opted to exercise the first option, I believe it was back in 2016. So we are in the first option, first 5-year option. And obviously if we choose to exercise the second 5-year option, which I don't get any indication that we would not, this would not be an issue. The swap is, like I said, contingent on us operating the transfer station, and the option is ours to exercise the way it is written, not the city council's. That indication, exercising that option, that notification was sent to the Public Works Director as a notification that we wanted to exercise that first option. That's the way it's written in the contract. If that helps to clarify.
Question for our attorney.
After discussion with our attorney, you can ask your question, but his thought is that we need to postpone this for the number of questions and discussion that, because obviously there are members of the council that have deep questions that did not have the opportunity to study this ahead of time. So do we have a motion to postpone Resolution F?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Cannon made that. It has been seconded. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any effect to postponing this?
Yes.
Thank you. The proposal is to start these costs on July 1st. So if we postpone, we certainly would have to talk, discuss, try to get some indication of that we're paying in arrears or subject to approval, whether it's $4.50, $6. They were looking to start this July 1st, as I understand.
And it was also tied to the 30-day extension that you need for your recycling contract.
So it may be something to approve that can be subject to amendment or change based on additional information, but we need to have a place to take our waste, otherwise July 1st we'll be going to Glenview.
So either way, so what the point you're making is, since if we do not approve this, there's an increase to the residents to $6 to the city.
Or there'll be an increase at least for a period of time, and that we cannot use the Burtnick Street facility is how I would interpret it.
Okay. Ms. Majakis.
Thank you. I constantly hear on the council about concerns about, the residents and extra costs and spending too much money and all that, and I get it, and I'm one of the residents. There are also going to be 2 fire stations built. That's a totally separate issue that are going to be costing the residents a lot of money that I've been totally opposed to. This is happening right now, and it's a big jump to $6. And then with the swap, we don't know what it's going to be, correct? And that's for 5 years. So there's going to be a lot of increase in here all of a sudden to the residents starting July 1st. And then if we don't get this settled tonight, our guys are going to be driving to Glenview, gas, man hours. Do the math. Let's get this resolved. I'm in favor of this.
Well, we had a postponement. Do we?
A motion.
We have a motion.
We got a motion. I'm sorry. We need a vote on the motion.
We need a vote on them. But now, if we do a motion, we do not know what the increased costs will be to the residents for if we do a motion to postpone, because you're telling us July 1st. This was set to go into motion.
I cannot speak to what the exact cost impact is to the residents. If council wants us to factor that in based on $4.50 per ton versus $6 in the report, it does indicate that the cost to the refuse fund would be at $4.50, about $23,400 annually. The $6 option would be $31,200 annually. That's obviously spread out month to month in our utility bills.
And just for clarification, the waste swap, that cost is not billed directly to your residents. That is incurred by your Public Works Department, which obviously is paid for out of your tax dollars. So when we're talking about the per ton cost for the waste swap, that is not something that is passed directly on to your residents. That's just to help your operations be more efficient. The rate for the 1 month extension for the curbside recycling program, obviously that's different. And it would go up under this different option since the transfer station extension was not approved. At this point, I know that it's at 5. What I can do is, because I know this needs to, you're kind of under the gun right now. Our contract with you to pick up recycling ends on the 30th of this month. Your new vendor that you just approved is scheduled to start on August 1st, correct?
Correct.
And that is based on the 30-day extension. If it pleases the council, we can amend our waste swap arrangement for a 3-year with a 2-year, with extension options based on our operations continuing at the transfer station, because it sounds like that's what the big issue is at this point. we can amend it based on that if the council pleases. Because that's what our intentions were all along.
Well, we have a motion to postpone. That has to be,
Vote that down.
right.
Yes, it's to be voted on. So, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms.
There's Mr. Cannon.
You know, we're talking about a lot of things here. Let's make sure we know what we're voting on here. So we're voting on what now?
Taking away the postponement.
Motion to postpone
And so,
resolution.
but we just got a new offer that was different than a couple of minutes ago. So,
We have to deal with this one.
okay.
You have to
We have to deal with this
on the
motion.
table.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Don't-
will the clerk please call the roll?
Baner,
No.
Diestis,
No.
Cannon.
No?
Bud Matts.
No.
Majikis.
No.
Gallo.
No.
That resolution fails. I'm going to turn to my, yes.
Motion to
Yes.
postpone.
I have a motion to amend that it be revised to the 3-year.
To correspond with our agreement
Yes.
to run the transfer station.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Majikis has made that
Second.
motion. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Mr.
It needs to say $6.
Going back from 450 to 6.
Yes, you still need that one too.
Yes.
$4.50 to $6 is one amendment that's needed.
I'm sorry.
The other would be the 3-year versus the 5-year extension.
If we do the 3-year, does it stay at the 450?
No, it still goes to
$6.
the 6 because that was tied to, the 450 was tied to the extension for the transfer station.
So we need the motion to go to $6. Sorry, Mr. Crumstock.
If I could be so kind and ask Alderman Majikis, who made the motion.
Yes.
It's actually, if you can make an amendment to change the cost on the resolution to $6 per ton, and then on the next line where it says this resolution approval in price is for 3 years, that would go back into what we've actually, because this last sentence that's in that paragraph in the resolution needs to be revised because it does talk about the transfer station and some of the other pieces. So if we can change again $6, and then in that last sentence of the main paragraph, I talk about this resolution approval in price is good for 3 years.
Are you, excuse me,
Right, yes.
are we in D or F? Because we
We're
keep jumping between the two.
We're in F.
We're in
All
F.
right.
Thank
Just
you.
want to be sure. Just want to
Are
be
you,
sure.
But if you can make that motion,
Yes.
that would clean that up.
Yes, let me just get to F, please. Because I'm back and forth on them. Okay.
okay. Hold on.
So we have, or will have 3 motions to amend.
No, only one motion by Alderman Majikis that
That
changes.
could consist of all 3 points.
That
The
is
450 to $6.
No, that's one. And the second part is changing the wording in that last sentence that only talks about 3 years.
And striking the last sentence
Correct.
of
That
the
is
resolution.
correct.
That's 3.
So that's
Right.
3.
That is what
Correct.
I'm asking for the motion,
Okay.
kind of.
Alderman Majikis, would you like to restate that, please?
Well, I'm going to try. I would like to make I'd like to make a motion to amend Resolution F, that it be from $4.50 to $6 a ton, and that it be a 3-year, not 5-year. And then that we, well, that was it.
Eliminate
We
the
struck
last
the-
sentence to
Yes,
revise.
eliminate.
Yes. Okay. And strike the last sentence.
Yes, the last sentence.
It's the last sentence that gets corrected. So
Yeah.
there's 2 parts.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the, yes, Mr. Budmetz?
Okay, I'm just clarifying. It's not a 3-year extension on the lease. It's until the existing 3-year extension expires. Is that correct?
Existing 5-year.
5-year, of which there's 3 years left.
Years
Correct.
left.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on Alderman Majikis' amendment?
Diestis,
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Bud Matts.
Yes.
Majikis.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
Baner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us back
Motion to
to
close the floor to the public.
and a motion to close the floor to the public. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That brings us to Resolution F, number 18-R-61, to approve the refuge waste swap agreement as amended. Do I have a motion for that to move forward?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Banger has made that. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Cannon.
Yes.
Bud Matts.
Yes.
Majikis.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
Baner.
Yes.
Diestis.
Yes.
6 in favor and none opposed. That resolution does move forward. That brings us to a motion to approve appointments. I have tonight the Rolling Meadows Library Board, Mr. Dick Wright, who's the president. His term expires June 30th, 2018. Susan Horn and Margaret Webb. And to the Capital Improvements Committee is Steve Hollish to approve them for a 3-year term. Is there a motion to approve that reappointment? Mr. Cannon has made that. It has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bud Matts.
Yes.
Majikis.
Yes.
Gallo.
Yes.
Baner.
Yes.
Diestis.
Yes.
Yes.
Cannon.
6 in favor, none opposed. The reappointments are approved. There's no proclamations from the mayor. Does the city clerk have a report?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Comstock.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Obviously, we do have some topics to go over, and I will go through them really briefly. But as the Mayor mentioned, we do want to thank everybody who came to the Friday, June 15th, first scheduled 2018 Friday Rocks. The next scheduled one is for July 6th, and it's at the same location, Campbell Hill Park, between 7 and 10 p.m. If you missed last Saturday's June 23rd Farmers and Food Truck event, the next event will be Saturday, July 21st, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., and Alderman Banger will have more honey, fresh honey, and some other things if he goes down to his farm in Iowa. Obviously, we do have a city blood drive in in the EOC in City Hall on Thursday, June 28th, so this Thursday, between 1 to 7 p.m., and again, that is a blood drive here by Life Source. And obviously, as we've been saying, Meadows Cruise Nights are back thanks to Meadows Christian Fellowship, located at 2401 on Kirchhoff Road on Friday nights between 5 to 8 p.m. And then vehicle stickers are on sale still, and they do need to be displayed by June 30th. And again, the sale of stickers pay for road projects that are done in fiscal year 2018. A friendly reminder that the city's 4th of July parade is scheduled for Wednesday, July 4th. It starts at 11:30. Please visit the website if you want additional information. It is our alternate location. Remember, we have 2 routes. It is our J location route that we actually utilize this year. And then obviously, continuing with July 4th, we do have our fireworks on July 4th, and they are conducted at Salt Park starting at 9:15-ish approximately. It is dusk. We do want to remind people that Wednesday, July 4th, City Hall and Public Works will be closed in observance of the 4th of July holiday. Refuse will be delayed by 1 day in the rest of the week. Monday collection will still be on time. Tuesday will be on time. It's just Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will have a little change. Obviously, the next thing that we do want to mention, and that was something that the mayor mentioned briefly, is that there will be a parking lot party from 3 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. at the Community Center, 3705 Pheasant Drive on Saturday, July 14th. We will have one more opportunity to mention that again. There will be food and drinks to purchase, some food trucks there. There will be music entertainment, and it is going to be provided by the band Hi-Fi Superstar, and it starts at 7 p.m. We hope that everybody comes out to this great community event that we do have. And then obviously what I mentioned last meeting is that the Rolling Meadows Community Event Foundation will be conducting a fundraiser at Chipotle at 1211 Gulf Road from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday, July 16th. please bring a flyer that's actually back here at the council chambers, and we actually have them throughout City Hall. It is a great way to help the Community Event Foundation, and 50% of the proceeds are donated back to the foundation during this dinner event, if you want to call it that. And then the June e-news and views are out, and they can be found on our city website. And then obviously future topics for July Committee of the Whole meetings. Obviously, July 3rd is coming up, and that's when there will not be a Economic Development Committee meeting, but the Planning and Zoning Commission is scheduled to have 5 tentative items at this point in time. There's one that was dropped after. But it's July 3rd at 7:30 p.m. The items are, again, the text amendment, Section 122-2021, B of the City of Rolling Meadows zoning code to allow religious use as a special use in the M1 manufacturing zoning district. We do have, again, number 2, which is a special use to allow a religious use at the property located at 1200 Hicks Road, M1 manufacturing. Number 3 is an amendment to Meadow Edge plan development to allow association to not replace the northern 320 feet of the required fence between the townhomes and the school that is in the R4 residential area. Dick Maynor is from Meadows Edge Improvement Association as the petitioner. An amendment to Material Services Plan Development to allow a used vehicle dealership, dumpster repair facility, and outdoor storage for the property located at 3650 Birdnick Street. That's in our M2 district, right by our Public Works building that we've been talking about all tonight. And that's in the manufacturing district. Colleen Balick from Hillside Auto Body and Service is actually the petitioner for that. We do have a text amendment brought up by the City of Rolling Meadows to add the M3 manufacturing district. And again, that deals with the city who's making that petition. And then the final one for that night scheduled at this point in time before we have any changes, but this is what was scheduled as we put the agenda out, is an amendment for the City of Rolling Meadows comprehensive and rezoning request for an area generally located north of industrial area, east of the Hicks Road, south of the current boundary of the corporate limits of the City of Rolling Meadows, west of Rolling Road in the City of Rolling Meadows. And again, that's the City of Rolling Meadows who's making those petitions to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
New businesses, Mr. Comstock?
We actually had 6 that moved in May, and the most notable that I would like to mention is American Star Total Home Comfort. We did a nice ribbon cutting. I do thank folks who do make that. They're HVAC, they're a family business, and we wish them the best. And obviously the others are listed at this point in time.
Mr. Vogt, Traffic Advisory.
Thank you, Mayor. The June meeting was held earlier this month. Just a couple of matters to highlight for the council's information. We're still awaiting IDOT rulings and new regulations that are supposed to be forthcoming before we continue any further investigation of the Euclid Avenue speed limit and the concerns about the crosswalk that exists at Vermont and Euclid. Once we get the new regulations, we will discuss and investigate this matter in earnest. Keith Court parking was already acted on for first reading tonight for the change in the proposed parking regulations. Golf Place at Portillo's Restaurant was a new matter that this committee will investigate regarding safety concerns based on where the dumpster location is near Golf Place. And lastly, we had a request to put school crossing signs in at Yarrow Lane, but the committee felt that we need to allow for the Meadow Edge Townhomes Improvement Association to have its hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission next week. And based on the outcome of that, that will affect our review of the request or need for crosswalks. So we'll discuss that at a later meeting as necessary. That's the report for June.
Thank you. Are there other matters not on the agenda this evening? Mr. Diastis.
Thank you. Just for our city attorney to make sure that during that entire conversation it didn't get lost, that I'm looking to find out whether or not what our lease rates are to Advanced for that piece of property, and whether or not those rates can be increased at the option year or at some point in time before that.
Any other, Mr. Budmats?
Yeah, also, the lease looks like it was written to BFI, and that BFI has the right to exercise 5-year extensions. It doesn't say anything about their successor having the right to exercise 5-year extensions that I read. Okay.
Any other matters not on the agenda? I will just make an announcement that Mr. Diastis will be in the chair July 10th. I will not be present for that meeting, so Mr. Diastis will be mayor pro tem for that evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're out of here.